A very good morning, my dear students. In this session, we are going to have the continuation part of the lesson, that is Of a Rupee Worth, written by R.K. Narayan. In our last class, we have discussed about the plot overview and the Subbaya's wealth and about his life and how he used to cheat the people and how he accumulated such a huge wealth by cheating one or the other way. Okay, in this session, let us have the continuation part. Let us have the proceeding part of the lesson of a rupee worth. And as you all came to know that this story written by R.K. Narayan, one of the most famous writers of Indian fictions. Let us discuss the small recapitulation of the previous class. You have understood about the context. In our last class, you came to know what is the context of the story, and also you understood the usage of language and various themes in the story. And you worked in group to discuss the greediness of Subaya, right? How Subaya was greedy, right? Uh, the learning objectives are of this session helping the students to answer questions about the texts and developing their ability to summarize the main idea of the story. So this will be the learning objective after having discussed about the lesson. You will summarize the main idea of the story, and at the end of the session's outcomes will be that it will help you to empower and empower to comprehend the story and write your reviews based on your understanding. Okay, let us not worry about the session outcomes and let session objectives. Let us directly go for the contents. So what are the contents we are going to we are going to discuss in this session? We'll discuss about the theme of the story, and also we will learn Subbaya's greediness, and also come to know Food Control Act and corruption, and also we'll study about Subbaya's conversation with the poor customer, and also we will have discussion about the session summary, and at the end you will have a chance to understand yourself. You will have a chance to check yourself on MCQ questions, and also you will find some references. Dear students, in our last class we had the discussion about Subbaya's wealth and how he accumulated such huge wealth, right? And also about his tragic death, how he had lost his life. How he had such greediness towards of a rupee, and also uh, we have come to know that how greediness leads us towards destruction. We have learnt by the life of Subbaya that overt greediness really leads us to a great destruction. Okay. This story has very important themes. So, what are all the themes will you can see in this story? Let us have discussion about the themes of the story. So in Of a Rupee Worth, we have theme of persistence, greed, corruption, materialism, and desperation. All these themes can be found in the story of a rupee worth. So Subaya is a greedy fellow, and also we could see such a great corruption in those days also, because Subaya bribed the officials who have come to search for rice in his godown, who have come to take the account of rice in his godown. So those days also there was much corruption, and also materialism. Materialism means only importance for making money. Subbaya used to make money with by cheating the people, and he did not bother other making he did not bother any other things rather than making money. So there was much importance for materialism, and also desperation. desperation we could see in the story of a poor person who came to Subbaya asking for rice. When he came to Subbaya, he told him his children are suffering from hungriness. But Subbaya did not bother about any kind of hunger and did not bother about the children's hungriness. So all these themes can be found in Subbaya's, in half a rupee worth story. Greed can be seen throughout the life of Subbaya. Subbaya, Subbaya's greediness can be seen throughout the story till his end, till the end of his life. You can see that his greediness only led him to led him for his destruction. So greediness can also be found in the life of Subbaya throughout the story. So how Subbaya was greedy, how he was a greedy fellow. Let's see here uh, in this slide. Subbaya's greed makes him corrupt and begins to submit fake documents to the government to show he is in compliance with the regulations. When the government introduced that Food Act, he created some fake documents and he tried to bribe the officials. He corrupt he gave money to the officials who have come to check out the stock of his rice, and he was just giving a pose that he was very much compliant with the government's regulation. He continues to give his wife and children material goods while the war continues. It was a time of war, and everyone was bothered about the war griefness. But Subbaya did not think of war. He he thought only giving material comforts to his family. He accumulated such a huge wealth. Even though war was going on, he never bothered about war and he never thought of sacrificing a little rice to the sake of war, for the sake of country. He was not at all a patriotic fellow. Most people make sacrifices during difficult times, but he doesn't. When war was going on in the country, many people from different places of our country, they thought of sacrificing a little what they have. But Subbaya, he kept quiet. He did not bother about the country. He did not bother about the victory or losing. It is Subbaya's greed at the end of the story when eventually kills him. The greediness, what he had right from the beginning, that led him to lose his life. Because when the poor person came asking for money, he went to go down at midnight and he lost his life. He lost his life in between among the rice bags. What is the food control? Food control was introduced by the government during those days, and also there was the corruption. So we found a lot of examples for corruption, how corrupted Subbaya was, and also officials. Because when he used to give, when he used to corrupt the officials were also most corrupted in those days. When the food control came in, Subbaya was baffled and worried for the first time. And there was a lot of confusions. And he was worried when the Food Control Act was introduced in our country. But later on, the same act has become a great boon for him. And his cunning brain was already at work. So he was very intelligent in cheating the people as well as to the government. He bribed all the officials who came to his shop for inspection of his stock and accounts, but he never grudged his investment. He bribed all the officials. He spent a lot of money, but he did not bother or he did not grudge about this investment because he knew very well This investment is going to be his greatest profit in future. So he never grudged about this investment. He said to himself that all controls and restrictions were really a boon. As I told you, these these all developments have become a great boon to him. His only intention and his only ambition was to make money. At the beginning, he was little baffled, but in his later stage, he has become more rich. He has become richer than ever, because all those bills and everything, each and every developments have become a great boons to him. And by using those opportunities, he made a little more money and he gained a little more wealth. He reflected philosophically, God arranges everything for the best. He philosophically he says he's a very good philosopher when he says God arranges everything for the best. ನಾವು ಒಂದೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ, ದೇವರೇನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ. ಇವನು ಏನು ಆ ಫುಡ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಬಂತಲ್ವ, ಫುಡ್ ಬಿಲ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಬಂತಲ್ವ, ಅದನ್ನು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವನು ಹೇಳೋದೇನು, ಗಾಡ್ ಅರೇಂಜಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್. ದೇವ್ರು ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. Subbaya's conversation with the poor customer. So this is a very heart-touching incident in the whole story. And here we could see that desperation, one of the major themes in the story, that is desperation. A poor man, in those days, it was a time of war and everywhere there was poverty, there was unemployment. So there were many social issues. A person is a very poor person. He comes to Subbaya asking for money and he gives a reason for asking the money. That reason was his children were suffering from hungriness. So this is really heart touching. Even they had no money, they had no proper money, or they had no proper food to feed their family. So when he comes, he argues with the poor customer over the price of a seer of rice. Subbaya had such a huge wealth, he had a lot of money, and he could donate 50% of his property to the poor people. But he never thought of donating a single rupee. He never thought of donating a single seer of rice to the poor people. He argues with the poor customer over the price of a seer price. ಒಂದು ಸೇರಿ ಅಕ್ಕಿಗೆ ಅವನು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. The difference is only 8 annas, an amount that means nothing to Subbaya. And there was a difference. ಒಂದು ಹಾಫ್ ಸೇರ್ಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಎಷ್ಟಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ಬರೀ 8 ಆಣೆ ನಾವು ಈಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ 50 ಪೈಸಾ ಅಂತ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಆ್ಯನ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸುಬ್ಬಯ್ಯ. ಅದು 50 ಪೈಸಾ, ಅದು 8 ಆಣೆ, ಯಾವ ಲೆಕ್ಕಕ್ಕೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನಿಗೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ ಆಫ್ ಎ ರುಪಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಅವನ ಜೀವನ ತೆಗೆದಾಕುತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಎಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಆಫ್ ಎ ರುಪಿಗೆ ಆಸೆ ಪಟ್ಕೊಂಡು he goes to his godown at midnight to bring the rice. There was an argument and finally he agreed to give only of a seer of rice. ಒಂದು ಸೇರ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. And he is not prepared to sell a seer of rice for half a rupee, no matter how desperate the customer is. He never thought of his customer. He never thought of the hungry suffering of his customer, suffering of the poor fellow. For Subbaya, everything is business with little consideration for the needs of his customers. In front of his making money concept, nothing is possible. I mean, he did not consider anything. Nothing is countable. He argued with the customer outside his shop over 8 annas, yet he had bags rice in his godown. He had such accumulation of rice in his godown, but he argued with the customer just for 8 annas. This encounter eventually leads to his death. The same encounter leads his life into death. He argued with the customer like anything. His valuable possession are his rice bags through which he became rich. All his life results in his death. He thought himself his valuable possessions are his only rice bags through which he became rich. All his life results in his death. So finally, he loses his life by going to Godan, and in between, among the rice bags, he lost his life. ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಅವನು ಹೋದಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅರಿವಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಇಡೀ ಏನು ರೈಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ಸ್ ಅವನು ಗೋಡನ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವನು ಏನು ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ನಲ್ವ, ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡಿ, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡಿ, he cheated people as well as to the government, and he stored lots and lots of rice bags in his godown. ಅದೇ ಸೇಮ್ ಗೋಡೌನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನ ಜೀವನ ಕಳ್ಕೊತಾನೆ. Let's go for the session summary. We have what we have already discussed in this video session. The main themes of the stories, we have discussed about the themes of the story. The main themes are greed, corruption, materialism, desperation, which we could see in the story. And we also studied Subbaya's greed makes him go for any extent to make money and to sell his rice. He could go for any extent to sell his rice and to make money. So he was just like a money minting machine. We can call him a money minting machine. He never thought of sacrification even though the country was at high risk due to war. It was a time of war, and he never bothered about the country, or he never bothered about the hunger people. He never bothered about the patriotic people who were sacrificing life for the cause of our country. Subbaya becomes very much worried when the food control came in, because Subbaya had to give details of his stock and accounts. In the beginning, in the initial stage when the food control was introduced, he was little baffled, he was little worried, but in his later stage it has become a great boon for him, and his money making thought went on. So it made us to be little more richer. The new policy, that is food control, becomes a boon for him. He managed to bribe the officials who came to examine his stock and accounts. This is one of the saddest things we have come across in the story. Before independence, there was people who were much corrupted. There was officials, they were also corrupted. Subbaya makes an argument with a poor customer just for 8 annas. So this is the last incident of his life. He argued with the poor customer, poor person, just for 8 annas, which was nothing for him in front of his wealth. He had such a great wealth, but he argued just for 8 annas. Okay, so these are all the things we have discussed in this session. Dear students, let us have multiple choice questions. These questions also will help you to understand your capability, how much you have understood this session in a proper way. Here is the first question. What is the main theme of the story of a rupee worth? 4 options have been given: greed, sympathy, help, giving hand. I think you can easily find out the answer. The answer is greed, because Subbaya was such a greedy fellow. And here it is your second question. Dash made Subbaya baffled and worried. Why he was worried in the initial stage? There are 4 options: his cunningness, Food Control Act, smuggling of rice, officials. ಯಾರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನು ತುಂಬ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ, ತುಂಬ ವರಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾನೆ? The option is B, that is the Food Control Act. And the third question is, how much rice did Subbaya agree to give the poor customer? ಎಷ್ಟು ನಾನು ಅಕ್ಕಿನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಿನಗೆ ಅವನು ತಂದಿರೋ ಹಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಸೊ 3 ಸೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈಸ್, 2 ಸೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈಸ್, half a seer of rice, 4 seer of rice. The option is obviously half a seer of rice. For there was just difference of 8 annas, but he agreed to give half a seer of rice. ಅರ್ಧ ಸೇರ್ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ತರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವನ ಜೀವನನೇ ಕಳ್ಕೊತಾನೆ. And here it is your fourth question. Where was his dead body found? Where does he lose his life? Options: at his secret godown, at drainage, at his home, at his shop. Where does he lose his life? At his secret godown. He had a secret godown. So that is what he did not want to take that poor person with him. He did not want to show his stock of rice to other people, but he lost his life there itself. And what is the irony of the story? Irony, Subaya's greed, Subaya's corrupt ways, Subaya's death, and Subaya's self-centeredness. The irony, the greatest irony of this story is Subaya's death. ಹೇಗೆ ಅವನ ಜೀವನ ಕಳ್ಕೊತಾನೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಈ ಸ್ಟೋರಿಯ the biggest irony. So we have discussed all the 5 multiple choice questions. I hope you have understood this video session. Here you find some references where I have taken all these informations to prepare this video session, prepare this PPT session. References obviously Innovation Board of Editors, approved by the Board of Studies in English, and also have taken some elements from the website www.boardnow.com. So thank you so much, my dear students. We will have another video session about the same lesson. Let us discuss in our next video session. Until then, have a good time and take care, stay home and stay safe. Thank you so much.